Hi, my name is Jamie Schaefer. This is my color theory instructional design unit for ETD 543. I first discovered the problem this past year, my first year of teaching. I'm the art teacher, and I discovered that many students are simply not happy with their projects. A lot of them become discouraged halfway through. They've made a critical choice and they don't like their project anymore and they don't want to finish their work, which creates a problem. I've got this possibly disruptive situation going on here. And I've also noticed that they do not know how to utilize the color wheel. I was recently working with some fifth graders and I made brown paint, and you would have thought it was just the sun falling from the sky. They didn't know that you could make brown. I said, you can make any color you want, you just need to know how to use the color wheel. And fifth graders had no knowledge of that. The root cause is that the students haven't had any art time. There has not been an art teacher for the last couple of years due to budget constraints, so the students aren't getting that creativity time. A lot of the teachers do art projects, but they're mainly holiday themed or used as a tie-in for a lesson. So these students aren't receiving the proper art instruction or art skills. They're just not being taught in my district. The students also have a lack of hands-on or problem-solving skills or self-expression. I watched the fourth graders make their science fair bulletin boards, and a lot of them just had no idea how to make it the right size and how to just put it together so that it looked nice and would catch people's eyes. Some of my goals for this unit were to have the students be able to understand the color wheel first and foremost, and then also be able to use the color wheel to create aesthetically pleasing projects that they could be proud of to help them build some confidence in their creativity. I wanted to incorporate a lot of fun and interactive ways for students to learn about the color wheel and to understand how it can help them with their projects. And with that, I do have some projects in the art room, but also I wanted to incorporate technology so that the students could get lots of practice without being discouraged. You know, they can simply hit clear the page and start all over again. They don't have that fear of, oh, I messed up, oh no. The structure for my unit, I have an audience of approximately 65 kindergartners. The unit I would implement a few weeks into the school year after we've had a chance to kind of get into the swing of things, become familiar with the art room rules, and also these kindergartners can learn how to use the computer lab. The unit would be about 2 weeks long, and we would use both the art room and the computer lab. I have the kindergartners 4 times a week, so we do kind of split that between art time and technology time, so this unit would fit really well. I would revise the unit yearly before I go back and teach it for the next group of kindergartners, and possibly add in a review lesson as these students progress throughout the grades. The strategies I'll use, I found some really catchy videos, and we will actually be in the art room mixing colors and using our new knowledge to make projects. And also, I have some interactive color mixing games I'll show you in a minute. Next, I'll show you some of the ways I'm going to implement my unit. I would start off with a basic introduction to the color wheel, spend a little time on the poster and explain to them this is the color wheel. This is something that we'll use a lot as we make projects throughout the year. I have a couple of, or I have a fun video with a catchy tune that I would show them. We'd also do this experiment where we start out with red, yellow, and blue cups with the liquid in them, and then you have the yellow, purple, and orange spots that are empty. And you take the paper towel and you put it from the yellow to the empty one, and from the blue to the empty one here, and the water comes up across and mixes in here and makes the green, which they think is kind of cool. So we'd first spend some time predicting, oh, what color is going to come into this empty cup? What are these two colors going to make? And then I have a mouse paint story that we would listen to, and then we would go ahead and recreate that with a worksheet that we have. From there, we would spend a little bit of time in the computer lab over the next 2 weeks, incorporating some fun interactive games and movies that I'll show you too. And they would end with creating their own color and have to describe it to the class using the vocabulary that we've learned, complementary, primary, secondary colors, and whatnot. So I'll go ahead and show you. This is the website that I'll utilize for the color theory unit. Some of them are for me when it's in class, a link for me. Other ones are for the kids in the computer lab because in kindergarten, the beginning of the year, it's just crazy to expect these kids to be able to type in a web address. So I've got all the links here for them. This is the one we would utilize on day one. It's by the group OK Go, and it's kind of catchy. We'd probably play it throughout the unit just to kind of refresh our memory before we start a new lesson. And then as they go on, they start mixing the color on the ground there, and you can see the red and the yellow pieces of paper, and they make orange. So it's kind of a neat little video for the kids. And here's the mouse paint story.
They drip puddles of paint onto the paper. The puddles look like fun. The red mouse stepped into the yellow puddle. And he became orange.
So that would be day one in the art room. I'd show them that, and then I have a worksheet later that they would actually mix the red and the yellow and see what these colors make. Here's our first day in the computer lab. You see the color wheel here, and if they click on it on a secondary
Purple,
color,
blue, and red make purple.
it just kind of allows them to click around and see how they make these colors. And then there's a color matching game that they would play too, just to kind of, oh yeah, red is on tomatoes, and just kind of help them see where these colors and where these things would belong on the color wheel. Another day they would be using the recipe over here to create the color that they need. And I know it's crazy, we have a green pig.
Green.
But you can see they're mixing the color according to the recipe, and they see it over here, and then they get to paint it whatever color it's supposed to be.
Color the bird.
And here's another video that we'd use later, kind of piecing the color wheel together and explaining why there's a white space between the red and the yellow.
That's right. Now how do we get the other colors without buying more paint? You got it. We mix two primary colors together. These new colors are called secondary colors.
So just a quick review before we go back into the art room and make our own color wheel. Some other videos that I have, this one explains what each color means. It goes through green and says green is for luck, and green is for patience, and it moves on to red, and red is for romance, and red is for stop, and kind of helps the kids understand that it's not just a color. There's a feeling or an emotion that is linked to that color. So when you see these colors in a painting, you know, or if you paint a room this color, blue might calm you down or make you sad, yellow might get you excited, and kind of helps to tie some of that in and help them think about emotions and color. These are some of the projects that we'd be doing in the art room. Here's a color spinner. They take a piece of cardstock with two little holes punched in it, and they can put not necessarily the whole color wheel on there, but they would put like red and blue, and then when you spin it, you would see that it's not red and blue anymore. It's an optical illusion, and it creates purple when it's spinning fast. And then on the other side, they probably would do green and yellow, and they could make, you know, stripe patterns here or whatever they wanted to do. And as we talk about warm and cool colors, this would be another project that we do, and you talk about how The cool colors here really stick out when you contrast them with the warm colors. And then towards the end, they would create their own color wheel. They would get to mix all of these colors and then cut them out and piece them together to make their own color wheel. For my evaluations, I would have a lot of formative evaluations because it is an art class and they are kindergartners. So I would be doing a lot of observations. We would have a lot of discussions as a whole class. This is the mouse paint worksheet that I mentioned, and also the color wheel project and the cool and warm hand project I just showed. For the summative evaluation, this would be the smiley quiz, or excuse me, smiley survey that they would take at the end just to kind of let me know what they liked and what they didn't like. And here is my Skittles quiz for the summative evaluation, where I would give them a little fun-sized bag of Skittles, and they would have to go through and put the primary colors here. There is no blue Skittle in the regular bag, so they would have to use a color pencil to shade in the blue. But other than that, they can go ahead and put their secondary colors and their warm colors and their cool colors, all the things that we have learned in our unit. And then, of course, I would come and check it, and then they would get to eat the Skittles. Some of the changes that I would make, I've had a chance to implement some of these some of these lessons. But initially, when I started this project, I was aiming to do the whole elementary school and quickly realized that I needed to narrow that down and decided to start with the kindergartners, start young when I'm going to see them all the time, first off, and when they should start learning this information. And as I mentioned, that mouse paint, I originally had the kids trace a tracer, and it just took way too long. They had to trace it 6 times, and then they had to try to figure out red goes here and blue goes there. So that's when I said we would use this worksheet here that would give them some guidance as to what colors go where. It also would be quicker. And when I've implemented this in the art room, I haven't necessarily put it as a unit. So I would definitely group it together as a unit so that we're building upon the previous day. And I did also, in this project, rearrange a couple lessons to kind of break up the art room time and break up the computer time. And that is all for my presentation. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned a little bit about the color wheel.